Hi everyone, I'm just touching base to go over some of your DC Connect items for placement documents. Based on timing and schedules, I haven't been able to come into your class directly. So I am logged into my FLST course page. It may look a tiny bit different than yours, but overall the content is the same in relation to the course homepage, which has announcements listed. Basically what I want to go over with you guys is the content, because this is the stuff that's still outstanding, and as Randy and I continue to work on placement items with placement sites, I need this information completed in order to be able to move your information to a site and have the matches happen as you get introduced to the sites and prepare for interviews, etc. So what we're looking at here is your table of contents. On the left is essentially step by step what needs to happen and information in relation to each one. The first step being some required documents and forms. Within each is a description and then an appropriate link for a form and the assignment box associated with those forms. So there's your field placement contract, which essentially, when I click on that, will bring us over to it. And this form link is in here. So you would fill out your information and printing off and signing and dating this. Essentially what you're doing is you're reading through this document, acknowledging all of the components that are in relation to your program and placement, and then you would sign off on this first page. I only need the first page submitted into the assignment box appropriately. That verifies that you agree to those terms of that contract. Then if we go back to step 1, the second item being your information sheet. This one right now is critical for me because this is the one that's giving me a sense of exactly what you may be looking into or have interest in relation to a potential site, which you are filling in at this section of the form at the bottom. So you're giving me potentially top 3 site options, and then the information at the top indicating obviously who you are, what program you're associated with, your information as to where you're living while on placement and while at school, if you have a car, if you have a vehicle or not, etc. And then submitting this form into the appropriate box. Again, this is what's allowing me and Randy to filter students' interests along with potential placement opportunities, and then coordinate the connection for an interview from there. The next item is a declaration form. So this form, once again, is one that you're going to read and review, sign off on, and then resubmit. So when you read through this one form is a insurance form essentially. You're verifying that you are a student while on placement. You're covered underneath our Ministry of Training Colleges University in relation to insurances, much like workers' compensation, and that you have read and understand that, and you're signing off and indicating what program you're in. Visa student, if you know what that is, then you'll identify if you are or not. If you don't know what it is, then the likelihood is you are not a visa student. And then again, like I said, this is a requirement. I get audited on these forms afterwards, so please get this completed and submitted. Close out of that, and we'll go back in. So we're still on step 1 in terms of the required forms. As you can see, there's a number of them in here. Your resume. So in relation to this one here, it needs to be a professional resume. The assignment folder is here and available to you to submit one. If you do not have a current professional resume that indicates your current program for placement, then please work with our hired services, our career development team that can provide you with resources. There's a sample resume in here that you can review as an example. Again, that's critical for me to be able to relate to an employer. And then your release of information form. So this one allows me to actually provide a site with your resume. So when you review this document, you're essentially signing off on any of the applicable items that apply to you and your program in relation to applying to a site. So you're signing off in terms of your name, program, and understanding that we may be giving one or any of these forms that are applicable to a site to verify that you are interested in a location. Without this form, I can't provide your resume to a site. Without providing your resume to a site, I cannot apply for the opportunity on your behalf. So those are the critical forms at this stage. If we go back into, table of contents, there's tips on researching and solidifying your host, which again, myself and Randy can help you with. The host details will be confirmed once you actually know where you're going. It's essentially just a form to say who you are, your program, the company that you're going to be placed with, the company address that you're going to be working with. If you know your supervisor's name, ideally within the first day you should know this, or even beforehand in terms of who you're doing your interviews with, and getting these details. This supervisor information may change once you're actually on site, and that's fine, but at this stage this is to confirm with me ahead of time as to where you're going and who you've confirmed with. Once you're on placement, the health and safety checklist is once again a critical form because it verifies that you and your supervisor have sat down in some capacity and gone over some form of site orientation. It may be applicable, it may not, that's fine. I need a yes or a no, completion date that you worked on it with the individual, their representative signature and your signature need to be present on this form and submitted within 48 hours of starting your placement. There are mandatory online training modules that need to be completed as well. You may find these underneath step 5 and or step 6. Unfortunately, it's in both locations, but both will be accounted for. There's the AODA certificate, Workers' Health and Safety, WMIS, and Workplace Violence. All 4 of these must be completed as well prior to going out on placement. Once you've completed them, the SCORM object in here literally provides a verification that you've completed and will submit the completion for you. Okay, and then finally I'm going to go over step number 5 in relation to a timesheet and an evaluation form that are available in here. These are resources for you while you're actually on placement. Your supervisor would sign off on your timesheet. Evaluation form is a part of what will be used while you're out on placement to evaluate your experience there. So those are the critical pieces, as I said, within step 1 and essentially step 6. Those are all the forms I need as soon as possible to be completed without going back into, I'll go back into step 1 here. Without the information sheet, your resume, and your information release form within this section, I cannot be supporting you. And there's a number of students right now that do not have these items in. I am typically in my office between 9 and 3:30 available. I have been crazy busy this week, but I definitely am available. I've sent emails to everybody in some capacity, and you can find my email through the information here on this web page, or connect with Randy or myself, whatever works for you guys. But essentially this information, as soon as possible, please submit it. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm in the office at F211. Thanks so much.